Hoho und willkommen zurück zu Vampyr. Wir gucken mal, ob es hier noch was zu klauen gibt. Und dann werde ich doch mal schauen, ob ich dem Patienten nicht was Gutes tun kann, beziehungsweise dem Personal. Und im Endeffekt mir, weil wenn ich sie doch beißen sollte, dann geht es ihnen besser, wenn ich sie vorher geheilt habe. Wo ist denn die arme Schwester, die hier wischen musste? Da sind die beiden. Denen geht's noch relativ... Oh ja, wir sollten vielleicht mal in diesen... Okay, das ist der Raum. Verstehe. Da ist Fletch. Das war auf jeden Fall eine blutige Angelegenheit. Und ich will jetzt nicht sagen, die Alte hat es nicht besser verdient. Sie war zwar sehr schrecklich, aber nur weil sie nicht liebenswürdig war, heißt das nicht, dass man sie gleich abschlachten muss. Nee, den suche ich gerade nicht. Milton? Was sucht denn Milton hier?
It's locked.
Was?
Good evening, Dr. Strickland. And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
Vielleicht.
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital? I'm sure it was not your fault, Dr. Reid. My fault? What do you mean? Oh, nothing. It's just... I heard it was you who brought the murderer inside our walls. But you couldn't know, could you?
Nein,
Goodbye, Dr.
ich
Strickland.
nicht.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Oh, wir haben uns noch gar nicht mit ihm unterhalten.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reid.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reid? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies.
Ja, doch, einmal haben wir schon mit ihm gesprochen. Okay.
Please, tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital.
I heard Miss Jones call for help from her bedroom. There were some loud noises, like people fighting. All of a sudden, it went quiet. And then a nurse started screaming.
Do you know who the nurse was?
Not sure, but I think it was Nurse Hawkins.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Okay. Wir kommen da ja nicht rein, oder? Doch, jetzt können wir rein. Ah, okay. So, mein Guter.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Irgendwas Neues? Nö.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I had shouting coming from the first floor. I was asleep when it started.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Du bist nicht alright. Die Frage ist jetzt nur, wie kann ich mein Serum unter die Leute bringen? Extrakte. Behandlung. Was hat er eigentlich? Blutarmut.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Okay. Cheates, Blutvergiftung, Erschöpfung, Blutarmut. Wie setze ich das bei ihm ein? Kann ich das?
But in the circle. Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a disgrace. How on earth can patients be attacked in their own rooms?
Das bringt uns alles nicht weiter.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Ich glaube, ich kann die Patienten noch nicht heilen. Schade.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Zumindest kriege ich es nicht hin. Wer ist das denn? Ach so. Was? Das müsste doch aber...
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reid. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
Na gut.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Wo ist denn die andere Schwester? Da ist Lady Ashbury. Und da ist eine Menge Blut.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman. Butchered by some savage scalp.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the scowl, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
Okay.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Is this a sign? A hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Bin mir ziemlich sicher, dass sie die Frau nicht getötet hat und ich will sie auch nicht so sehr verärgern. Da ist doch auch noch was drin. So, wer ist denn das hier?
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Mesmerisieren. Und wie lasse ich ihr die Behandlung jetzt zuteil werden? Wie mache ich das? Ich will sie doch nur behandeln. Irgendwas fehlt mir dazu auch noch. Heilen mit... Ja. Also ich habe jetzt alle Tasten durch.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Also das ist nur für unten, alles klar. Das kann ich auch noch nicht. Das drücken. Was ist das?
Do you require medical assistance, nurse?
I will be fine, as soon as I can get some sleep.
Ja. Ah, da. Aha.
Nurse, you won't be able to help people if you're sick. Take this, and do try to get some rest.
I'll try, Dr. Reid. Thank you.
Ah, wir haben es geschafft. Okay, das ist sehr schön.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Geht's ihr jetzt besser? Ja. Gut. Dann gehen wir wieder rein ins Krankenhaus und versuchen das mit den anderen auch.
My blood and soul.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reid.
So.
Soldier, do you need assistance?
Not really. I think I caught something in this bloody hospital. I swear I'm dead, yet smiling inside, Dr. Reid.
As long as you remain here, I will make sure you don't have to worry about your health.
Don't think you can do much about it. Damage is done.
Naja.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
So, wo ist Madame denn hin? Ich meine, das ist natürlich ein Syndrom, was nicht so leicht zu heilen ist, aber...
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Eigentlich geht's ihr gar nicht so schlecht und ich habe das Mittel nicht, was wir brauchen.
Is there anything you can tell me about the recent commotion here?
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reid. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs.
No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Okay.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Dann gucken wir doch mal, ob wir hier nicht doch jemanden heilen können. Oder zumindest helfen. Oh, das gibt's doch nicht.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. Any news about my operation?
Nein.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
Really? Why has no one else asked me that since I got here? I thought I was in a hospital.
Unfortunately, you are not the only person who needs help. And complaining about it won't do you any good.
Well, perhaps you're right, Dr. Reid. I'm sure if me missus was still alive, she wouldn't be happy with me going on like this.
Okay. Es geht ihm
Goodbye for
zumindest
now, Mr.
besser.
I'll see you later.
Vielleicht wird er jetzt eine OP überleben.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reid. Can I be of any help?
Ja, vielleicht. Haben wir aber schon mal drüber geredet. Schade.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
So.
Good evening, Mr. Gosling. How are you?
I'm okay.
Werden wir doch mal sehen. Ah, okay, ja, fast tot
Do you
bist
need
du.
any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
Na. Das sieht
I
doch
have
schon
to go
besser
now,
aus.
sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
You waste your time with me.
So. Hier kann ich nichts weiter machen.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reid.
Ja, ja.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Nothing like this would have happened if we'd had enough staff and proper shifts.
So you don't think the blame is ours?
We all hold fast here, Dr. Reid. Our methods may differ, but we are all trying to make a difference.
Schade.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Hier geht's noch raus. Aber den Ärzten geht's gesundheitlich, glaube ich, allen noch recht gut. Aber den Schwestern nicht allen. Wo ist denn die eine ältere?
Good evening, Nurse
Mal
Hawkins.
gucken,
Good
was
evening, Dr. Reid.
Pippas Gesundheitszustand so macht. Oh. Ist auch nicht so sonderlich gut.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm afraid I've contracted some illness, Dr. Reid.
Not under my watch, nurse. Take this. You'll feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reid.
So. Wenn es so weitergeht,
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
sich bald weiter. Nach Mitteln suchen. Also nach Kleinigkeiten suchen, um wieder Medikamente herzustellen. So. Jetzt gucken wir nochmal zu Dr. Swansea.
If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
Oh, okay. Na gut.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Nein, kann sie nicht.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
Also, wir sind Hypochonder. Oder noch schlimmer, psychosomatisch.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
Falls ihr ein Piepen gehört hat, das war nur der PC. Er überhitzt ein wenig.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
Ich muss mal kurz mit dem PC kämpfen. Wir beenden diese Folge und sehen uns in der nächsten wieder. Bis dahin, ciao!